Jeez. Waiting for everybody to come in. All right. As you notice where I'll be, I will explain all of these in detail. Next week we'll be at the school. I'm being very selective when I go to school so that it is useful for everybody. We could do something with that. So we'll see who's in here. They're filling up pretty quick, though. Okay, so we've had a very busy day, so that was one reason why I couldn't get myself to the school on time. But the agenda is pretty set for today, and it'll be very willingly, but very useful for all of your research materials. And just a quick thing, so we could get more adding on. If anybody emails me, right, and we're gonna build or whatever like that, and I haven't responded to you in time and stuff like that, feel free to pester me, okay? That's no problem. Word 60, peace. 793rd, Sirius, Wise You, Divine Truth, peace. Glad everybody could make it in here. Malik, peace. Okay. And of course, if anybody has any questions about any of the columns, any of the confusion in that, you let me know, okay? Any of the columns that I write or anything like that. I tend to write them, with things I have in mind, but also kind of concentrated, with all the stuff that I'm trying to do. And as always, I tell you a lot about planning, but the way I work, by February, like right now, I'm already behind on lots of stuff, which means that, I just have lots of stuff to do. So it's a lot of writing. And I don't rush it just to complete the task. It's important that these tasks are done quality. You know what I mean? So I try to make the Peace Course columns, short but sweet. You know what I mean? And so the way I write in a concentrated language, though, sometimes it could be very, very concentrating. You know what I mean? And I don't want it to be too confusing, though. So if it is, though, you just let me know. So, or if you wanted me to explore more of the ideas in that. All right. And as Sirius says, definitely, if there are any savage people in the room, though, make yourselves known as well. Right? We're here to teach all of them. Right? Even if we don't teach the savage, we certainly can show them something. Right? Okay. Just updating some stuff here. Yes, yes. And again, if there's any questions about it and stuff like that, they're not really traditionally just building on the very last class that we had and stuff like that. I live a life just like everybody else, so there are certain things that are on my mind, though, and things that I deal with and stuff that might be stuck in my head. Remember, the classroom is not the only place I'm teaching, though. So sometimes there's a lot of other things that come to mind. You know what I mean? When I write these columns and stuff. You know. And indeed, word 60, culture is one's way of life, and freedom is the ability to live out your culture. They must be in tandem, right? They must be in tandem. It's the whole point, of being in that fashion like that. Okay. You know what? Um, Rome, you asked that question at an opportune time, though. I'm gonna say something that's for one individual that is so far has not made himself present in this room. So I don't know if he's watching this now. Um, but it's something that's disappointing me greatly. You know. Um, and I'm gonna put it into context so that way everybody else can do the knowledge to the point that I'm gonna make. Though there's no need to. If you all figure out who it is or what the point is, or obsessively curious and email me about it, though, it is what it is. I'm not the one that made it public. We talk about culture, and it really relates to culture, and I just find it comical in the type of laugh, ha ha, nigga type thing. You know what I mean? Embarrassing that we have these mathematics that say things, so you would do them. Yeah, it says certain things real basic, and you would do them. And it's like I see people fall into a lesson. They stumble into a lesson, and it's and it could have been avoided though. You know what I mean? And then I end up, you know, I don't feel like some puppeteer. I'm just like, you know, give me a minute here because what I'm thinking of, I know that person is online though, so I'm sharing the link to this class. So let me make this point here. You know what I mean? Culture is a way of life. We know this. People here on here have already said it, like Word 60 eloquently stated. Malik, you said culture is a total sum of our activities and freedom is the ability to act and do. And most of the time, Malik, I see the freedom of what people want to do as opposed to the culture. So I usually see these as two discordant elements. You know what I mean? Rome, you said continue to teach at your best strength. Keep winning. Don't let these souls and spirits destroy. Excellent energy. I look up to you. That's peace. I'm honored. Culture, the way we think, act, observe, and listen, how we build with one another is our culture, way of life. Indeed, it is. Now look at this. He's gonna make a point, right? We all deal with this knowledge of self mathematically. We say that we're gonna do the knowledge, right? And we end up using it as, you know, an action instead of knowledge being what it is, an idea, a truthful idea, a particular truth. We end up having to learn how to do this, so we go doing the knowledge, and then once we did the knowledge, we have to learn how to take in this information, and then we take it in, and then we what? Go you wisdom, we use it, you apply it in some type of way. You apply it in some type of way mentally, and a revelation of purpose comes. You work yourself to a revelation to reveal its purpose, and the worth of that purpose is what you live out. It's all driven by the most important information that we have, which is what? The most important information that we have is knowledge, right? The knowledge that the original man is God. And we'll say 5% nation of gods and earths. Not the people that know it. But if we look throughout the world in history, though, the only people that have said that we will be together under this truth, not only will we live it out, we'll be willing to declare it daringly, even if we don't seem to match up to anyone's grandiose definitions of it. And then we're also going to realize that each other being the ones that know it and are living this to the best of our ability, because something could be true and something could be actual and it still may not be lived well, and yet we take on that duty. So the thing I have to say is that in actual fact, no matter how profound it is, I've said this many times, doesn't make one family. Let me give more detail about that. No matter how profound a fact is that one lives under, the truth of an idea, the reality of who a people are, if everyone accepts it, it still does not make them an actual family. You see what I'm saying? We're not family unless we live by principles that uphold the integrity of those facts. And that's a learning process. And that learning process seems to have many stumbles. You see? A lot of people think that when you deal with this knowledge, though, you're venturing into such a supreme fact that has not been taught, and so clearly must be the reason that everything has gone astray. This is how we are all taking it. The knowledge of self isn't out there, so everything must be going astray because of that. Right? That's the way we're taught. That's the way we keep learning it. Well, a major problem with that is that now that we all have this knowledge and we say, look, we're part of this nation, we're part of this collective, right? The word nation, write it in there, nation, comes from the Latin, etymologically, right? Its history of its word comes from the Latin root nascere, which means birthright, right? So our birthright is who we actually are, right? A nation of gods and earths, right? And that includes all the human families because it is all one dominion. You know what I'm saying? It's all one dominion. Because we said 5% nation of gods and earths. So everything is in there because everything is made by God and earth. All right. So we're united by this fact, but does that mean that we are family? We don't do family things. Okay? I don't see the loyalty. See, what do I mean by loyalty? A lot of people think that when they get this knowledge, though, that this fact is what is called all the horror in the world, and just teaching this fact, and now we can say that we're a family because this fact is awesome, and indeed it is. And now everything in this particular family of people that have this knowledge, everything will go great. And it doesn't go great. But we think that we stepped in some type of utopia, an inner utopia, like we turned the ghetto into a ghetto utopia. We all got the knowledge, though, and that's how it was, though. When I was getting knowledge, that's how it felt, though. All the gods, it's like a utopia. All of us got this knowledge. You know what I mean? And I'll just give a generic one and say, look, then all of a sudden, you see some foul stuff. Somebody not really living up to it of any measure. You see things that aren't really controlled. You see vices that you weren't blind enough to think that these vices would be eliminated, but you would think that they would be more controlled. You know what I'm saying? Maybe the drinking could not take place every single damn day. Maybe, the crutch of the drug, wasn't so debilitated that they could walk on their own. No, maybe at least for Parliament. You know what I'm saying? Or something else. I'm giving examples here, right? And then somebody tells you, well, you know what? Within the 5%, there's a 5, 10, and 85, right? And you learn that, right? And now you learn one of the most disappointing quadratic equations you'll ever see, right? The quadratic equation, within the 5%, right? I don't know. I don't even know how to write this though. You know what I'm saying? Within the 5%, there's what? There's a there's a 5 and a 10. You know what I mean? And an 85, right? You know what I mean? Right? And it must be times y, right? Time by some, multiplied by some odd variable that equals back to the 5%. You know what I'm saying? Because that don't make no sense what I just wrote there. And yet it ends up being true, right? So some people might learn though, and let's take it to a personal thing. Some people might think like, hey, Sunez, you've done a lot of stuff in this nation, right? So now you like, you're good with everybody that's in the nation though. Last week I told you about people that didn't care about me and didn't like me. See what I'm saying? Didn't like me. But it clearly wasn't the end of the lesson. See, I talked about people that didn't like me. That always happens everywhere. So you have to deal with it though. But that particular person, that elder I was talking about, had the love and the respect of this knowledge and this nation, what we were doing, the goal, that if I was doing things right and exact as far as the teaching, then his like or dislike of me wasn't going to be relevant, not just in allowing me and not confronting me anymore and harassing me, because once I showed him proof, he never harassed me again. It wasn't like he was very jovial, you know what I mean? If I said peace and everything, thinking that we were friends now, it was just really waiting to see how he could, kind of like, ridicule or something like that. I don't know. I don't know what it was. You know what I mean? But it doesn't mean that there was some type of respect that allowed that to happen. You see? Now, let's reverse it though, so that you understand how this works. In my time, I have done things in this nation though, and I have worked with people in this nation that I don't like. And I got good reasons why I don't like them though. I could even, go on there and make reasons why they're phony or things like that, right? What would be the point of that though? What would be the point of that? And I look in the mirror, and all I see is Sunez Allah. That's all I see. So that means that you're only accountable for the works that you do. You will only be remembered for the works that you do. You will only valid by the works you do, not by the things you knock out. Unless you're some kind of bounty hunter killing people, the people you slay is not really relevant. So, in this case, right? I've done that. I've had that mentality with all things. It stretches out to what I'm doing. I've done work with people I don't really like, and this like and dislike is I know very often is based on actual facts. It's based on details of what I've seen. You know what I mean? And then we look at the works. You know what I mean? And then we look at the works and we have to let certain things go because we're not here to make everyone dislike who we dislike. That's not what we're here for. And I see people stepping into things without even doing the knowledge. You know what I mean? Taking simple working relationships and jumping the gun because they were offended about how the working relationship goes. Some of you here, I actually write in my publications, 5% Media or the Cast Faction or anything like that. And if you're scared to publish something, if you're scared to give it to me because you don't want to hear that something, you might get it back and say, this is insufficient, this is no good, then I don't know what you're built for. You know what I'm saying? I don't know what you're built for. Because you're going to get a detailed response of why it wouldn't work. And let me tell you something. I've been on the other side where things that I give in are not sufficient, are not acceptable. And my grievance is, as long as someone isn't deliberately trying to offend me and associate my work with the misstep or the lack of quality or the lack of standard that they expected reached on the last work, then I'm okay with that. You know, hey, Sunez, this last piece, it's not hitting what we need. It doesn't work with what we need. You get something else, though. That sometimes doesn't feel good, because now you have something and you're holding something in your hand and you're like, what am I going to do with this? I got this piece in my hand. What am I going to do with this? I made it. I thought I made it just for this instant, and it wasn't good enough. Some people don't know how that feels, though. And a lot of you, whether you're artists, whether you write, all of that, y'all are straight ass spoiled. Because you make a record, you could throw it out anywhere, and the algorithms will give you the people that like it. So you don't really know if it sucks until somebody like me tells you it sucks. And so you can't have working relationships with somebody and wait for someone and explain. And I'm saying on all levels, though. You know what I mean? I'll give you another example, right? And I know my brother Willie Ways, though. I don't know if he's listening now. He's in the call or anything like that, but it's a great example. You know what I mean? He had an album last year. One of the best albums I heard. You know, I'm completely biased, though, but my biases have great arguments. If you bought, I don't know, 5, 10 records, if you bought 5, that would be in there. You know, I think it would be worthwhile to get it. He is that good to me. He performed that great. Asked me to be on his album. And he gave me something. He gave me parameters, you know, what to do, how to write this and perform, how to write, what to write about. And then I would perform it and send it to him, and he'd do what he would do with it. And, you know, it's very loose, but there was parameters I had to hit. And I was happy. I wrote a long piece, and it was very, it was long, and he took all of it. He said it was great. And when I heard the recorded version of it, though, I saw that a large chunk of it at the end was taken off. I've been in this a long time, though, whether writing or performing. And I hadn't done a lot of recording yet for songs. I'm just starting. But I still have the mentality of the same mentality of experience with writing and how certain things you write could get cut. And I've already done the crybaby stuff. So I could either say, like, I thought there was some great lines that he cut off. So instead of asking him, hey, why'd you cut that off? That was messed up, this and that. That I realized first, right? Willie Ways is my brother. So I'm going to ask my brother, hey, what was the mentality in how you chose the pieces of what you took from my poetic verse? Well, you know, why'd you take that part, leave out the end? And he said, you know what? There was a lag in energy in the way that you delivered it. And that was the only reason. See, I'm a writer, so it was very much about the words. I thought the words weren't up to quality and stuff, you know? And it had nothing to do with the word. It had to do with what I was working on. That it wasn't, I didn't fulfill the recording. So that song was set. But because of that, if you listen to the album, you realize that the last track, which is 2 tracks in one, but the first of the last 2 in one track, for the seeds, I was able to say, you know what, wait, let me record that piece again, that small piece. And, you know, he offered me, because we talked about it, it does sound good. Maybe you could fix this. There was a wording in there. He wanted me to make it more generalized. And that was also a reason. So I generalized it. And then I recorded again with the proper exuberance. I took the critique. I didn't cry about it because the reason I asked him was so I could get the insight as to why it was no good, why it would be cut out. Oh, no, it was just too long. Oh, okay. But see, now that I learned the problem, the critique, not only was I rewarded with the minimum, which is someone gave you a critique of why they didn't use it, which could hurt your feelings or not, but I also got a critique which led to the idea that this is really good. All you have to do is just fix it and we could put it somewhere else. And so I fixed it and it ended up somewhere else, became something else, right? This is what I'm talking about. And what I mean by family, right, is that we're supposed to be the gods and the earths, right? And I've had this back and forth with people where they were very disrespectful. I'm talking about disrespectful where it's like, you know, you wouldn't say that if you were here. You know what I'm saying? So what I do is I make sure, because we're supposed to be family, we're supposed to be those with the knowledge of self, I go straight to that person. And nobody else was in this. And nobody else will be in this. I go straight to that person. Now that person might not be going straight to me back. I might be talked about. I mean, as soon as, you know, he's a straight hitter though. You know, and then I saw him do some shit. Now you want to do all that kung fu shit on me and everything like that. No, I'm a straight shooter. You know what I mean? If you're gonna have the disrespect to do things, then have the strength to be disrespectful face to face. Or at least I'm gonna tell you, make sure you have that same energy when we're face to face. See? Because I did that in this particular case. I'm not gonna say who it was, because they disrespected me to make the point about how the piece I wrote was a little bit too weighty and a little bit too heavy for where it was going to go. When all you had to do was say, listen, this is a little bit too heavy. You got to simplify it, man. It's just too crazy. And I've been like, got you, boss. Boom. You know what I mean? Because this is the career. This is what you do. You fix the piece. You don't take it personally. You know that it's not your work that's being critiqued. It's how it fits as a piece, as a puzzle piece into the larger puzzle of it all. But we're supposed to be family. So when there's some kind of beef, take it directly to that person though. And that if that person is watching here, these stories I'm telling that are personal, things that I lived, the choices that I made, you know you're doing it wrong. I don't care how right you are. Okay? People are so excited to trend though, and it's really basically a declaration to say, listen, I'm not as bad as you made me feel. Not as bad. I'm not as bad a rapper as you made me feel. I know I'm good. And I'm going to tell the whole damn world. I'm not as bad as writer as you have, so I'm going to blog this shit out and insult you everywhere. It's all emotions. And if we're supposed to be working together saying we got the knowledge of self, then the least you could do and say, you know what? I don't like the way he acted. I told it to him, and then now that's it. We're gonna go our separate roads. You see? Because if that person's teaching, and if you keep teaching, then you could go on these separate roads, and you got your own card table. I got my own card table, and we'll throw our own 21s out there. You know what I mean? Everybody's so quick to damn trend. And if somebody says that they were learning with me, then they learned all wrong. It's 21s. I was talking about blackjack card tables. It's in my head. But and you know what? And I have it here, posterity though, because I'm taking this class time to teach a student that I've taught a fucking lesson. It's a fucking lesson. So if I tell that person though, hey, ease up from all the public slandering. Let's build about it so we have a better strategy to be righteous. You know what I mean? And so what happens is that they just don't get around to contacting me. So now, if someone gives me their word is bond, right? Apparently somebody's word is bond to keep their fucking mouth shut has a grace period. Like we're some fucking gang or something. We're a gang? We're a gang. We do gang true stuff, but listen, homie, when sundown comes, I'm back into it. You know what I mean? Yeah, but you didn't round up the posse. You didn't round up any of the posse. You see what I'm saying? You didn't round up any of the posse to come talk about anything. And this is why we get this knowledge of self. And instead of being God, we just walk out there thinking that we're the true and living God. Right? True and living God. True to your feelings and living out the expression of your emotions is the ruler of your universe. True feelings and living out emotions. This is what we doing. See, it doesn't matter to me who's writing this. You know what I'm saying? if we're supposed to be a nation, gods and earths, then the gods, when we build, you don't think that if we are makers and owners of the whole universe, when we finally get ourselves to own this whole universe and take that responsibility, that we are not going to ever disagree again? That we are not going to have a problem? I didn't get into detail about who this is and stuff. In the field that he's in, he's a rising talent. But all I'm seeing is true feelings and living emotions. You know what I mean? And that's embarrassing. Now think about it for a minute. The very things that you want to be known for can also cliche you so badly that you are not even given the respect of humanity. You go on top and you go into my social media, you go to my Facebook, my Instagram, right? And you could see me doing all types of kung fu and stuff. Now, what happened though, if I disagreed with everybody though, and I said, you know what? I think I can, because you train long enough, you think you can. And if I think I'm right, I'm gonna kick some ass, man. I'm gonna not. You know what? Wait, you're stopping me from building? Wait, you're trying to do what? I think you need to get some of this right about. You know what I'm saying? Now think about if I had been like that with every single step I took learning that martial art and being a martial artist. And then all these years later, though, what type of worthwhile individual would I be? Because I learned this to defend nothing. To defend nothing, but just uphold what? My true feelings and my very living emotions. Because we all have living emotions. Okay? I remember this is not even in the nation. The Guardian Mega's throwing a lot of great useful videos, and I was getting a lot of trolls, and I was getting a particular troll that really wanted to say I was eating pork. Good luck, buddy. and it was because, by the way, it was because I said, be careful, because pig is a natural animal. It's natural. So when you're looking at food, you can end up looking at pig. It'll say 100% natural. So the 100% natural label doesn't always mean it's healthy. That's what my point. That was my point. I said shit is natural. I said, a lot of things are natural that aren't good, right? That was the basic thing. That was it. I was talking about labels and the depth of labels, right? So when somebody gives you a food, right? I'm glad you remember that 793rd, right? I was in the class, I mean? I was in the class, and, this is recorded. It wasn't like the class now where I'm definitely more used to the digital environment. I'm more used to the fact that whatever I would say can be used against me. So I'm always trying to make sure everything I say is qualitative, that you could take sound bites and it'll be useful. Okay. And, so like let's say like in this digital classroom, I'm not going to be like, somebody names a rapper I don't like, yeah, he's crap. You know what I mean? Yeah, I'm at personal time if you ask me and stuff like that. But I'm not gonna do that because I write about it, everything like that. I like to keep my most negative opinions and throw them straight at somebody's face. Because as a side note, never, never keep a rule. Instead of saying never, always write. If you write about somebody or somebody's art, always say something you really are willing to say to their face. And that's the best type of editor. Be honest with yourself. You know what I mean? Oh, you don't like, I'm just throwing a name out there because, it's love-hate relationship with his music. Because I love the old, I love what he was always about. I love what he could actually do, but I don't like most of what he does. Now, you're not gonna you're gonna say that about Fat Joe? Are you willing to say that to his face? And I'm just saying that because he's a big dude, you know what I mean? And I know because I interviewed him many times, you know what I mean? And I even got bear hugs from him. So, easily a foot taller than me. And I don't know how many 100+ pounds though, you know what I mean? When I was talking to him. So you learn respect out of that. Not because he has done respectable things, but when people falter, you try to judge them separately and say, listen, I don't really care for this. So we were in the classroom and this troll was annoying me. I was kind of annoyed. And, I was like, you know what, this troll, he comes by here. I was talking genuinely. I was like, you know what, I just really like to, pound him out though. See if he would say those things in front of me. Because he's going against my rule. I know he would never say those things in front of me. That's my rule. You see? But the thing is that I told him, Mega, you know what, take off that video because I'm advocating negativity though. It's gonna come out there like, I'm basically like saying like it's on site. You know what I'm saying? Because he already said those things. So, well, I'm not gonna show him the worth of my rule, meaning be honest about what you're gonna say to people if they were right in front of you by kicking his ass. I'm just using him to justify my rule. You know what I mean? That's my rule of integrity, not his. You know what I mean? So he can stay, and he has stayed exactly where it is, in anonymity, in the YouTube netherverse. The alternate universe for trolls and stuff. Because you all are clearly from a different universe. You know what I mean? But the thing is, though, is that we take value in the way that we speak words. We take, value to what we're saying. We respect it. You know what I mean? You learn a martial art, though, what happens when your language becomes violent because you can't uphold that violence? And now you're not really you're not a martial artist, though. You're upholding the violence that you have learned to practice. So now this knowledge of self. You're the maker and the owner. So that means now you think, though, that what you are upholding, though, is the wrong thing. You're not upholding the responsibility to show that everything is under your domain to make greater, better, and recreate anew. No, what you are upholding with your maker and owner abilities, though, is your feelings and your emotions. Somebody, like I said, I write something, I could write some banging ass piece. I give it to that editor and he says, listen, I don't want to use it. Doesn't fit. Let's be honest, though. That's happened throughout my career. And a lot of times it's because I wrote the shit hotter than everybody else. And that actually is a problem. Let me tell you why. Magazines are, right, are written with a unity. It's a very droll unity. That's why when you read the source and all these things, it all sounds like one guy wrote every article. Except for special columns. When you read any magazine, GQ, National Geographic, doesn't think about it. Unless you know the author, like, oh, this is a famous like botanist or anything like that. Everybody has a particular type sound, a particular way of saying it. Read a scholarly piece, right, for peer review. You keep a standard voice. I felt that I was doing something different. I wanted to write the pieces about hip hop as if those pieces are hip hop. So my voice is something that never existed before, unless you read people's columns like Bones Malone. But the actual technical writing on the music, no one did that. I'm the one that made that up. So eventually I had to come to grips with the fact that it could be a lot of ego, a lot of keeping the talent down that could be greater and outdo me one day. Sure. But it's not about my true feelings, right? And living emotions. What is it about? It's about seeing the bigger picture. That even if my pieces were to go in there, though, I would give problems, right, to the editorship. You see? If I write the standard pieces, those standard pieces, let's say about music, in such an artistic way, then what I do is I take away the format and the blueprint of the entire magazine. Which means what? Which means that no one, if it hits, no one will want to read anyone else's pieces, right? And no one will, and I'll be damn straight, no one else is going to be able to do that. They'll have to do what I'm doing. And as an editor, how are you supposed to find people to do all that? They don't exist. So in retrospect, I realized I would be giving them problems in the long run anyway, aside from, eclipsing their career, right? What I'm saying is you got to look. You have to look at the bigger picture. And when you're working with who is supposed to be your brothers and your sisters, gods and earths, then you put on that family cap and you keep reminding yourself that your emotions are to be expressed within family. And that means that you express it quietly, discreetly to those individuals, involve other people to help if they are me or someone else, and you keep that shit in house. And if it doesn't work out, if that man still teaches that truth, that woman still teaches that truth of the knowledge of self, and you are still teaching that truth of the knowledge of self, but you have vast disagreement, then you keep it moving. We just don't work together. Not every 5% MC raps with every other 5% MC. We'd like to see it. You know what I mean? Brothers write their own things. I write my own things. You sing your own songs. I sing my own songs. But now we end up being so emotional that, you break your word. You break your word. Your word is not bond anymore. Like, it's not like I heard, listen, when I said, be easy until we build. But then it's, no, it wasn't until we build. It's until the statute of limitation that I didn't know about. Right? At sundown, I go back for this clown. You know what I mean? Like, when the Spurs are hitting. Right? Shit's corny. Shit's corny. You know what I mean? It really is. Right? Everybody's so quick to do that. You know what I mean? Everybody's so quick to, the minute they're wrong, to start beef. And I'll tell you why. Because you were taught that way. People always talking about that they have their own thoughts and shit like that. And I find it a joke. I find it a joke. You got your own thoughts. And then people actually end up behaving and doing the same exact thing that everybody wrote about. You know what I mean? When the shit hits the fan, you're not trying to be like the best moments of the people you say that you were listening to. They're best, right? The best intentions of a RZA or the best intentions of KRS-One. I'm saying their best, not their work. The best intentions that they tried to exude. No, his shit hits the fan though. It's do like 50 Cent. You know what I'm saying? Step on everybody though. It makes a good step. They didn't do what I wanted them to do though. So now they're a fleshy step on my way up now. Remember me? I blasted him, and that's how you're doing this to people that got the knowledge. Be very careful though. Not everybody that you say has the knowledge is in your nation. You know what I mean? That's different. But even then, as men, though, I'm not with all this. Get on the social media though and tell people how somebody's a fraud and exposing them stuff. You know? When I expose people as frauds like Funkmaster Flex, I didn't get the opportunity to just tweet, hey, Flex, Mr. Payola Taker, the Payoli. I had to do research, bring real proofs, make sure that what I said wasn't going to get sued, get a magazine sued. In this case, a source. Had to do real legwork. So by the end of the day, and you prove it, it's something different. And I know all of a sudden we all some investigative journalists, though, the minute something goes astray, What's the culture? What's the culture that we have? That's what I want to know. What is the culture? Right? It's got the culture of babies. It's Instead of being honest with yourself, saying that you're just disappointed though. Disappointed that your piece didn't get accepted. Disappointed that your work was rejected. That's it. Nothing else. Nothing else to it. When it's dealing with people that got the knowledge that's coming in the name of, you have a little respect. And I could give you more beefs that I've been mediated in the middle of, given my thoughts to. So I haven't said no to certain beefs. I said, hey, carry on, brother. When it has to do with those of us who's teaching this, what are we showing? What are we showing about family, though? You know what I'm saying? You don't like that your family didn't break bread with you, so you disown them. You gotta tell the whole world. Everybody in your physical family breaks bread with you. Sometimes some people see what you bring to the table and they said, try again. Try again. Or opt out. You know, one thing that you all have to, take note of in this digital world, right? In this digital world, though, doesn't need a lot of manhood. This digital world doesn't need a lot of integrity. You know what I mean? All it needs is consistency of feelings. And people are more respected because they have a consistency of feelings as opposed to a consistency of logic, a consistency of integrity, a consistency of applied integrity that at a distance is not always understood. You know what I mean? If some people knew the details of how I led certain people and I just go down the road, my road, and go my road, they'd be like, nah, I don't, why didn't you keep blazing them and this and that? Because my life is about the works I create, though. Right? That degree says I'm the maker. It doesn't say I'm the cremator. I'm not in the wisdom build degree. You know what I'm saying? I'm not one of the cremators. You go cremate yourself. You know what I mean? So don't go around thinking Sunez don't got people that he'd gladly knock out the box with his work. I don't have to, though. I don't have to. Every next work already did that. I don't have to mention names. I don't have to do this, do that. I don't have to do anything. And if they're in the nation and they got the knowledge, though, you trust that. I didn't put it on Twitter and go, hey, Liz. I went straight to them and I said, listen, you can't with this. You can't do any of this. You don't have these scripts. You don't have this. You're not even in this. You're not even in this like that. Whatever we talking about. Whatever work we were doing. If I've been disrespected. Everybody knows I went up straight to them. No fancy tweets, though. No fancy metaphors. Nothing. None. You're not going to find anything like that. you make sure that when you got this knowledge and you're going to go around wearing one of these and stuff like that, that you will hold it with some type of integrity. You know what I mean? If you're going to come in the name of Allah, have some type of integrity. If you can't even envision this, though, if you can't even envision this and how this goes, because your true feelings and living emotions just overtake you all the time, then do what Christians do. Do the what would Allah the Father do? Do that shit. Do that question. You know what I mean? Do that damn question. Because it's embarrassing. Me and the gods out there, me and my brother Day-Son, we've been writing for years, though. We know guys making 6 figures writing. We know guys making 6 figures on bestseller lists that you all are probably buying, saying this is some good African American literature that are fake as fuck. That took our scripts. Yeah, that took our scripts. And we just like, you know what? We just keep building. We just keep building them. You know what I mean? Because we made everything. You know what I'm saying? Right? If you're the maker and owner of the planet Earth, though, somebody's going to be living on your land. You know what I mean? They're going to be living on your land. This whole thing, this whole minefield, this everything, the land is all yours. They're going to be living. Somebody's going to be trying to live here. People's whole lives is going to be based on this, the thoughts you make concrete, that land. You know what I mean? Think we're some babies out there going all in. He's really fake. You know, I can't believe that, you know. And if we prove it, though, what? You know? It doesn't matter because we're not going to write that corny shit that they blew up with anyway. You know what I mean? It don't matter. They're in the spaces they need to be in. Because we weren't going to write that anyway. You know what I mean? Right? You can't put me in that space anyway. Right? I'm not going to write pieces about how Drake is a GOAT candidate. You know what I'm saying? I'm not going to fit there. So you enjoy that. You enjoy that. You enjoy being, you know, whatever it is you do. You know what I mean? People don't go, you know, like you all are out there, you're doing stuff though, and you're saying you're the maker and the owner, and these degrees talk about devil and devil this and devil that. You tell me how many devils you've actually seen. Business, corruption, like what that means though. You know, like corruption, where things that clearly are stripped and stolen are then used. And then it's all in this system that justifies it all because it has to be this way. No one could accept it this way. So it has to be this way. It's better for the people, easier to digest. Whatever it is, whatever we're talking about. And we can talk about writing, music, food. Whatever it is we're talking about. Have you seen the real devil? Right? Tell me, have you seen her? Right? Have you seen a real devil? Oh, I doubt it. How many of you have been told, like, listen, do it this way and it's going to work out for you. And then go home with the choice where tomorrow you're going to be unemployed because you're going to make that choice Just like Guru said, nah, I ain't doing that corny stuff. But they say that your chart positions will go up. You know what I mean? That's daily operation, though. And it's not, smells good. What I'm talking about there is not the same thing as sampling, because sampling is something where you're taking a piece of the music, right? But you are rearranging it, right? Into a whole different tempo, a whole different reality. You know what I'm saying? Like people think like, oh, like, you know, they're just putting into a faster beat. That's early hip hop where the idea was new. But if you really see, and those of you that make beats and things like that, you know that chopping something, rearranging something literally is someone that says, I can't play the music, but I can take these pieces and these notes, and if I could play, they would play in this way. And these particular sections that are beautiful to me, well, some of these pieces will be repeated, but in different measures, in different styles, all of that. It's totally different. That's not what I mean, though. I'm talking about the dilution of things. You see? The dilution of things that says that to feed the whole world, for example, to feed the whole world, we have to make this genetically modified seed so that way the entire world can eat. Because we're take that responsibility by genetically modifying the seed, and we make massive and massive and massive amounts of batches, and we will give it to the world instead of equipping each region with actual seeds and the availabilities of water and sustainable agriculture. No, because if we take the responsibility, which would then demand that we use this genetically modified seed, we get all the money. And then it doesn't matter anymore, though, if the whole world even gets all this food. See? And it certainly doesn't matter if the world gets this food all wrong, all unhealthy. Because you know what? We fed the whole world. Like we literally gave them all this food. We threw all this food out there. And then, but the reality doesn't matter that we'll walk down into the most even, and we're talking about America in the hood. We're not even talking about the rich parts of America. America in the hood. How many hood supermarkets you go to? And on a certain day of the week, though, you see giant trash bags at a local supermarket, and they are throwing away, not keeping, throwing away pounds and pounds of produce, and not shipping it away, but just regular old garbage bags and about to toss it out. That's what I'm talking about. You see? That's what I'm talking about, how it goes. See? We don't have a world where people are trying to respect the quality of every single individual region, whether it be music, art, food. What we have is, though, if this place has the potential in their unique version of what they've done to be given to everyone, we will make a diluted product that could be mass produced for the entire world, whether it be pop music, GMO food, anything else. And you know what? Those people that do it can say that they gave to the entire world. But what they did was that they took from the entire world to give back very little. Because what the world needs, though, and that's what's in the degree, it says maker and owner, but you as the true and living God, you're not making and owning. What you were teaching is that you are the maker and owner, and you were teaching people how to make and how to own up to the things that they can actually make so that they can live their own way. You're teaching them how to fish instead of breeding fish and just tossing fish that most don't get out to them, that get rotten, and that they cannot really afford after a while. This is what I'm talking about. How many of you have seen this type of corruption? Most of us haven't, and most of us don't. And so what happens is that we make justifications. We get into our true feelings and living emotions as that's the way to be us. And you know what? You know what's crazy? Is that it spills all over into this damn internet, right? That's why I tell people like Saladin, right? Saladin, are you in here? I don't know. Saladin's in here. I didn't see his name. But he be writing a build on Facebook. And I always tell him, listen, what I do now is I ignore him if I don't think it's up to par. You know, like it's okay, but it's, you know, it's standard. But if he's got something there, it usually is something he has to work harder on, develop it. And so I tell him, listen, you need to hold that. Don't throw out your understanding like that. Today's math is culture, blah, blah. Here, we're in the classroom. You're supposed to throw it out. But sometimes the work that you have, like, let them fester. Use your journal to develop real ideas that go long. Some of you don't even know that you're great writers because you've never let ideas develop over time to see how wonderful that they manifest. Right? You haven't planted your ideas. You just use the social media and you spit them out. And that's why emotionally based, you know, things are really hard to do. It's very difficult to do that. And yeah, it smells good. You said teaching how to plant in contrast to planting fear. Ain't that the truth? Ain't that the truth, right? Because now people only know, like, oh, I need that. Only Goya can give me all this food. Right? Most Puerto Ricans, they think they can't grow food in their own island, though. Everything that they make on an island is exported, and then all the food that they're going to eat is imported. The irony. And so they've been planted fear. You see? But it can happen in all things. And I'm saying, look, be careful for the quick volley. Take time to do the knowledge. You know what I'm saying? And that includes who you think is an enemy. You know what I mean? Who you think has wronged you. Sometimes it's validated. Sometimes it's 100%. I think I've wronged it. I don't think I'm going to change my mind. But how you react, though, is going to be important. You know? Sometimes it's a false way of equalizing things. You know what I mean? I'm going to knock down that whole man's work because I know that he's been foul to me. See? You could do that. You could do that. But what would we be known for building? You see? This isn't KRS-One the Bridge, man. If you ever read that situation, if you ever studied it, though, that had nothing to do with stuff that I'm talking about. You know what I mean? All right. I did say last week I wanted to get into the 1 to 10. I wanted to get into some of the things. So I'm going to take a break right now. I'm going to let go of some of this tea. Exactly like the IMF. I mean, that's what the whole IMF is about, right? I'm not sure what you mean by JA. I don't know what the initials are there. But I'm assuming you mean International Monetary Fund with the IMF. But let me release some of this tea. And when I come back, though, you can ask your question about anything I asked, though. If it's unclear, because I'm not giving you details, I'm trying to give you details of my life. But then we'll get into the things that I wanted to share, and then also the things that you need and want to be answered. Okay, all right. So I'll be right back. All right. Whew. You know what's funny? I leave and then y'all don't throw any comments on the thing. I always expect like a million questions. Y'all don't ask no questions and stuff. You know what I mean? Let me look back because I really railed. And see, the thing is, I was supposed to talk to this person yesterday, and it's such a vital lesson. I realized that it didn't happen, and it broke so many codes of honor, integrity, of just logic, that I can prove that this being a culture day, I wanted to share the concepts. You know what I mean, and make it useful. You know, hopefully I didn't ramble too much. You know, you start rambling about the wrongs that have happened to you, I'll be here all night. You know what I mean? Right? How many, you know, how many things you've gone through, you know, like, right? Serious, you said peace. Today's reality is culture, which is revealed by my character, shown through interaction with other said nation, and uncivilized to perform the duty of that said ability. You see, and the thing is, though, I want you to learn how to articulate to yourselves what would be performing the duty of that said ability. You know what I mean? How is this duty performed? How will you do it civilized? You know what I mean? Divine truth, you said if one is living out supreme math and alphabet, he or she should see a change in his life. One must strive for perfection of self and live in a righteous way of life. Indeed, divine truth. You know, it isn't always as easy as it looks, as we see. Half time you said it sounds like a very eye-opening experience you had learning to put certain emotions aside, work for what kind of cause. Oh, indeed. Indeed. You know what I'm saying? And you know what? This person that I don't really would ever want to work with again, they do great stuff. I don't give a damn. They do great stuff. You know what I mean? And they taught thousands and thousands of people with the work that they do. So what the hell do I have to say? Go shoot on your side. You know what I'm saying? I see it like basketball. You know what I'm saying? You know? I like watching Steph Curry, Kyrie, you know, the exciting players, though. LeBron is a snooze reel for me. He's boring as hell. But that's not the team I'm watching, though. Unless he's going against the teams I want to win, and I don't care. I don't really watch it. You know what I mean? And you have those things, right? Who's doing activist things? Who's doing things on their own levels? You let them do it on their own level. You know what I mean? Their own levels, their own ways, you know? You don't always have to like it. You could always think it's whack. And I think it, you know, still might be whack. You know what I'm saying? Do more. Yeah, do more. Yeah. You know, how do we you know, he was so articulate to tell the world that we're not a gang, though. And now, you know, we have work to do to show that we don't treat each other like a gang. You know what I'm saying? Right? Y'all are funny. I'll take Larry Bird over LeBron James any day. Any day. Any day. You end your game with LeBron James, though. I'll end mine with Larry Bird. You know what I mean? You see the way the NBA now, like there's zero defense. They've everybody chucks threes, so the court is so spread out that anybody could get their shot off, and you know after a while, you know, the like you know, I'd love to see the stat, but the amount of open shots. You combine the spacing of the courts now, because of the 3-point shot, and that was Curry, not LeBron. So what else did LeBron not do in his era? He's not even the major innovator. But the spacing, the no hand check, no real defense. And defense, though, is just stand there as a roadblock. If you get lucky, you get there first as a roadblock. So that how fun is that to watch? You know what I mean? Oh, look, you're not going to see if you could block it, steal it. I don't know about you. That's boring as hell. That's boring as hell. Remember, they used to drive. Remember how you driving Patrick Ewing? No, he wasn't standing stiff. He jumped up there to try to block you. You know what I mean? Because that was the game. I don't want you to score. I'm going to block you. I'm not going to. You're not. The defense now, when they do play defense, it's a charge. So they're not playing to stop the offense. They're playing to draw a call. So that's a different game. See? So now, because of the rules, the refs are actually part of the game. Their decision to blow the whistle is what will enable defense. See? So now it's just about acting and good portrayal. So it's just, they didn't really think about that when they did that. You know what I mean? They find floppers, yeah. And look, I'll tell you this though. Look, compare Isaiah Thomas and Kyrie Irving, right? Isaiah Thomas doesn't have as many clips dribbling like that. You know why? Because he never got that kind of spacing like that. When Kyrie's up close to somebody, he can get really, really close to somebody because he can do that type of dribbling. You know what I mean? He has the opportunity to do it, He has the opportunity to do it. I'm not saying Isaiah is better dribbler than Kyrie. I'm saying Isaiah historically is a dribbler he ranks with Kyrie. If you really know the game and seen Isaiah, he ranks up there with Kyrie. Kyrie deservingly has the clips to say, he did it, but I'm saying measurable, you know what I mean? Because again, there was no format for Isaiah to be able to do that. You know what I'm saying? To do that, so that's what I mean, though, Like, for example, if Isaiah was doing all that stuff all the time, like the way Kyrie is, they would have already hit him, hand checked him, thrown him off balance just slightly, and then he wouldn't be able to do the handles, So what I'm saying is that in Isaiah's world, 80s and the 90s, like a lot of moves that he could do that I know he could do, like Kyrie, he wouldn't even be able to pull them off because of hand checking. You know what I'm saying? That's why, too, all of this makes what, to me, Iverson did even more incredible because, Iverson was he was getting space, and they still had hand checking. You know what I mean? Yeah, hand checking is a hack bugger. It's a hack. Yeah, you're damn right it's a hack. You know what I mean? So let that, for all you LeBronians out there, let that be known. You know what I mean? What a hack was. And then compare the regular type of hacking to the type of football that Jordan went through, that they even made a book on it, the Jordan rules. And I remember as a kid, as a teenager, I read that book. You know what I mean? It was crazy. And the stuff that Isaiah was saying and stuff like, oh, just don't, we just force them left and don't let them take flight. Nah. If you think that's how it was, though, you got to watch the whole games. You got to watch the whole games, though. These included trips, not just trips, but leg whips, clotheslines, you know what I mean? Sandwich smashes, where both defenders would just jump in and smash him, and then undercutting once he does jump, because remember, Jordan had a high jumper, right? You know what I mean? He jumped high in that jumper, right? That's one of the good rules now in the NBA, where you can't land, you got to give people a landing zone, you know what I mean? Remember, Jordan was jumping mad high for a jumper in a time where they didn't give a shit about no landed zone, you know? Right? Yeah. That's what I'm saying though. The players now, it is very hard to value um compare them. Like you have to adjust points per game with inflation. You know what I'm saying? The 30 that Harden has been averaging over the last couple of years ain't the same 30 that Jordan got. It ain't the same. You know? It ain't the same. You know, but if you know, so I like the lightening up of defense, but not like that, you know. What I don't like is the charging stuff. That gets annoying. Right. But you know, N1, that's not real ball either. You know what I mean? Those guys are traveling like the whole game and carrying and all that kind of stuff. You know what I mean? It's easy to do tricks when you can do all that endlessly. You know what I mean? Yeah. So aside from the culture, one of the big aspects I think that needs to be in our culture, just since it's in my head, is the books you're reading. You know, so let me know, what type of books are you reading? Is it a diverse amount of books? What type of books are you reading? You know what I mean? Are you making sure that you're keeping the diversity in the books? You know, rotate a couple of different books. You get your history, a couple of science books about different subjects, history books. You know, try to, keep one that's ancient, older history. Try to keep one with more newer history. You know, like, you know what I mean? Try to diversify everything that you're reading. You know what I mean? Harden walked legally. Yeah, right. Hey, you know, I'm not really a fan of teams and stuff, but I root for the Nets because they're fun to watch. You know what I mean? And I always was a Kyrie fan. So on the court, though, I'm not really a fan of him off the court, the way he's acting. But you know what I mean? Um, I feel like he makes a lot of excuses and stuff, but for not, literally going to work. That must be really like boring, right? So you're coaching kids to be boring too, right? Teach them how to take a charge. It's so boring. You know? Yeah. You know, because he's been playing point guard, like he's doing more point guard stuff with the Nets. He hasn't actually done like the vicious walking that he does. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, yeah. The incredible talents though, but they're just they you know a couple of rule changes. Now we get to see people get to see what they want, lots of scores and stuff. But that flopping stuff, man, that makes the game real boring though. You know, you think about if you was a fan of the Knicks and I was a fan during the Ewing era. Ewing used to go and try to block everything that came down, everything that he could. You know what I mean? And if he played in today's game, you'd never know how tough he was. You know what I mean? Because a lot of great dunks are on Ewing, and that's because he went for everything. He was ruthless. He really tried to get everything. You know. But in today's game, he's just gonna be flopping. You know. Taking charges out. Boring as hell. All right, so yeah, I haven't watched that much football, but when I watch, so it's very jarring, like to see how it seems like if you even just like touch him or just push him a little bit after like you stop running and then you push him, that gets called. Like they really overdose. I think it's also for Brady too. He's like mad old and he'd be out of the league if he was if it was just the old rules because he would have got smashed up a long time ago. But it definitely has favored him. A quarterback who I'll never ever pick as the GOAT. Okay, so don't do it. I don't care how many Super Bowls he wins. But let me look at my notes here because I write notes. I didn't really write notes here, but there was some things in my head that I wanted to go through. Right. So last week I said I would go through the 1 to 10. Okay. So I'm gonna go through certain degrees, and you all could give you my understanding now. I'm not gonna just share like but they brought back Enzo. Yeah, they need to take that shit out though. I don't need to see any of that coon stuff. You know what I mean? I know I'm old man with it. My father never liked that stuff, and I always thought like, oh, he's just being a bore. But I don't like that stuff. You know what I mean? Look at the goats like Jerry Rice or Barry Sanders, like Emmett Smith. Like when they was doing stuff, they would get in there so much though. They just treat it like, man, it's just another one, and they just throwing that ball like, where's the ref? Oh yeah, yeah. I'm gonna get back here anyway. That's what I used to like though. You know what I mean? But I mean, if you're charged up and you give a nice spike or whatever like that, but like all that dance, that's a coon ass shit though. You know what I mean? You know, don't be doing nothing. Don't be doing no salsa, nothing like that. Don't do shit. Some coonery out here. We see enough fucking buck dancing out here. You know, and the way people dance though, we keep allowing dancing though. You probably see like these football players twerk when they get a touchdown. Then it's gonna be over and everything. That's all you need. That's all you need. You know. Okay. Man, no whip, no nay nay. Well, yeah, I don't even know those. Yeah, I've heard. I can't even remember how those things go, but nah, nah. Yeah, yeah. Just hand the ball. Like, just be like, like we're gonna be back here anyway. You know, we're gonna do this again and again. And you definitely shouldn't be doing no dances if you're losing by. I don't care if you're losing by one. If you're losing by 1 point, you know what I'm saying? Like you'll take the extra point and you're still losing. I don't care. You do not do no dance. There's no dancing. You know what I'm saying? You dance when you win the Super Bowl. You win the Super Bowl. You go out there. You could do old shit. You could do the worm. You know, you could do the WAP. You know what I'm saying? You could try to break dance or whatever, like, you know, pop and lock and all that. But nah. Yeah. Nah, I just think that, nah, I love the, let them have fun with the dances, but not there. I ain't with it. You know what I mean? No. You know why? Because here's why, right? I don't respect the fury of the fury of it when you OD dance. You know what I'm saying? You know, if you just do like a, I don't know, you know, whatever, like a quick move or whatever, boom, like whatever. But if you're gonna do a whole dance routine and stuff like that, man, it's not really killer instinct to me, man. You know what I'm saying? And like I said, look at all the legends though. They don't be doing that. You know, and don't be thinking that that's because they didn't have fun. They've been having those dances though. The Icky Shuffle, right, was going on, and that was straight coonery. The Icky Shuffle was going on, right? But who won that Super Bowl by 1,000,000 points? You know what I'm saying? I don't remember Jerry Rice doing that. I don't remember Roger Craig doing that. I don't remember Joe Montana doing that. You know what I'm saying? No. You gotta hold that shit. You defeat your opponent. You know what I'm saying? And then you know, party in the locker room though. You know what I'm saying? You do all the dance in the locker room though. And you know that they got Instagram now. So you win the game, and then you pull out your phone though on your own, and you be a coon on your own though. You know? And then you dance like a damn buffoon and shit. You know? Yeah, that shit's dead to me though. Be embarrassing though. You know what I'm saying? You see Mello? You see Mello when he scores and shit? You see him doing like a whole stupid ass thing? Nah, he's gonna be back there. He's gonna do it again. Right? Just gotta have, you know, shit's corny to me. You know? Not with all that buck dancing. Now, all right. Let me know. We talk about what we talk about. Let me know who has knowledge already the 1 to 10. Like, and what I mean by knowledge, not just memorized it, but also let me know if you memorized it, but also if you actually showed and proved your 1 to 10 to whoever was your enlightener, whatever like that. You know, let me know. All right. I just want to start out by giving you some tips, important things to note in the degrees, you know. Uh, But I'm writing stuff down that I've been remembering all day. Okay. I don't remember that, Raja. Nah, it's kidding. Yeah, okay, God. I'm just messing. Yeah, all right. That's peace, guys, right? Already in City Count, taking a clap. Black Revolution, get out of here. Message of Black Man is on the syllabus. Conrad Tillard. Okay, I don't know what Conrad Tillard, but man, that's powerful. Let me tell you something. You definitely will know some things I know that he don't know. That's for sure. You know what I mean? By the way, is that the same? Is that Reverend Conrad Tillard? Raja, is that Reverend Conrad Tillard? Yeah, agreed, Melly. They are definitely getting more feminine and stuff like that. You know what I mean? Is what it is. But you know what though? I was just thinking the opposite, positively, Malik, because you remember in the beginning of the 2010s though, when everybody was getting on Lord Jamal because he was saying that I'm not with all that skirts and stuff, and he made a song. It wasn't that good because yeah, it wasn't a great song, but it just was, and it was kind of like preachy, but and it was a pretty weak beat, but not like the good, you know, he could do much better, but and it was like, you know, dissing people wearing skirts, and you know, like I'd take the L train and stuff, and I'd see, you know, some guy with a skirt and stuff, and you know, even moving away from the look of, let's say, a kilt, you know, look like a real, like, should look like a woman's skirt, like don't even look like kilt, like, you know, like, you know, like it don't even look like, damn, you, like, you're not even trying to go for comfort here. Why are you wearing that female thing? Ah, okay, G, yeah, very interesting. You know, see, I go back to that what I was gonna say, but let me finish the statement though. Is that if you, in what I've seen among youth in hip hop and all the things I've been cataloging, when I was going out there, I was seeing more feminine things. You know what I'm saying? I saw extremely tight jeans where it was like guys were wearing yoga pants and colors and everything. And I'm not putting myself in there, but I know that the movement of the low lives and other movements like it showed that men can have a great colorful or not colorful if you don't choose to have a colorful style. Because like for me, I'm not really into like extreme colors all the time. And if you know, I don't really wear like rainbow polo. Like I don't wear a lot of colors and stuff, right? But and I'm more into earth tones. That's, you know. But the thing is, well, that's my favorite at least, right? By the end of the decade of the 2010s, though, I would go to places like clubs and shows that would have kind of like more, let's say, like more whack music, and you would see less of the more feminine styles of dressing. You know what I mean? So instead of wearing tight pants, okay, they didn't wear them baggy, but they adjusted properly, and now people are wearing like a better look, a slim fitted pants, something that looks manly, but is a little bit more updated, not just sloppy. You know, because you know baggy pants is sloppy already, right? Um, they're wearing, they're not wearing like, you know, it don't look like girls' Air Maxes, but it got decent colors. You know what I mean? So it looked more up to date. You know what I mean? Things are a little bit more rugged. You know what I mean? And that's because look, the generations of hip hop, there's different age groups, and I think a lot of the positivity of the and the quality of my generation age group that made music, and then the next group making music kind of merged and learned from each other. You know what I mean? So I see a great positivity in that. You know what I'm saying? Because I'm not talking about, you probably go to some, you know, Lil Bozo show, and you know you're gonna see what clown. They got clown names. Lil Baby, they got clown names. Well, you're gonna see clown stuff. Like, don't get, you know, you go Lil Uzi Vert, like you're not gonna see anything. You go into a clown's music, you're gonna see a clown show. So I don't know why anybody would get mad. You know what I mean? If I go to see animals though, and I see animals, though, you know, what do I get mad? I go to the Bronx Zoo and I see animals. I'm being okay, yeah, that's what I came for though. I'm not going like that. These monkeys, they're off the meat rack. You know what I mean? Why can't these monkeys just, you know, be quiet though? You know what I mean? Smelling, you know, that's what you go see. But if you go to hip hop shows where they're younger artists, but they're hip hop shows, you're seeing less and less of that feminine dress, but more. They're trying to be more stylish though. They're not just like straight from the sewer. Nobody want to do that no more. They want them, if they wear a shirt, they want them to wear, you know, they wear it where it shows our body though. And that's positive because now I'm trying to get in shape so that shirt looks good instead of just getting the shirt bigger and bigger and bigger so you don't see that I ain't done no work. You know what I mean? So it's a good thing. You know what I mean? So I've seen positive in the dress actually. You know what I'm saying? If you just look at things by the videos and stuff, man, it's always going to be negative though. You know what I mean? Because you get a different clown. You know, those are clowns though. These are people that they didn't just go like, oh, I'm doing this clown stuff. They thought about this and they said, I'm willing to perform and show. I'm, you know, willing to perform and show this guy this, you know, this white man playing the electric guitar with, you know, short arms and deep pockets, what I got, you know, and just, you know, hey, this is what I should do, woo, you know, and like that's what they're doing. So, you know, but that's not where people are living, the culture, you know what I mean? And then if you take other places where you say blah, but that we go to clubs and stuff, like, what clubs are you talking about? Are you talking about, if you're talking about strip clubs or you're talking about clubs of music, both of those are really, a lot of times are one and the same because they're both for sex. You know what I'm saying? I'm talking about clubs for shows where people are going to see particular artists. If you talk about clubs where it's just basically, all clubs are really for sex, not just a strip club, but the actual music club. If it's just like music club, come here and get drunk, that's a sex club. People are going in there to find things to hit and to smash, and then they go home. That's not for music. Like you don't go, I really need to hear a song. No, I need to let loose. Let loose means you're giving the opportunity to somebody to get up in, or you're trying to see if you could have the opportunity to go in. So I don't consider those places of culture and music. These are for functions, and the music is a conduit for that. So I'm not kind of any of that shit. I'm talking about people that said that they like this music. They say they like hip hop, they like rap, and they're going to see shows of particular people or a particular brand. You know, like I like hip hop, and it says it's a hip hop show for up and comers and stuff like that. I'm gonna go perform in that or something like that. Like, and then you see the kids, like what choices they make in the type of songs. They make some bad songs, some shitty songs, all that kind of stuff. You're seeing a different way. It's not as feminine as it once was and stuff, you know. How it keeps up, how it continues, though, who knows? You know what I'm saying? Because, you know, the devil always out there throwing curveballs. You know what I mean? Try some new things to sell. You know what I mean? Right? But I've seen a positivity. You know what I'm saying? I've seen a positivity. You know, right? Just remember though, like the strip club and the music club, like a lot of that though is the same stuff. Like any places where a DJ Khaled would DJ, that's not. People aren't going there to hear music. They're going there to get smashed. They're going there to put things in them, right? Or get things out of them. That's what they're going for. You know what I'm saying? Right? It's a church of sin. No, it's good. You know, just let's turn this all to the church of sin. Damn it. No, but you know what I mean. So you can't really judge the culture, though. You know what I mean? And if you're trying to include like you know, we got to look at things like Lil Baby, you know, just because these people rap and stuff doesn't mean that it's actually of the culture. Like that's just the pop adaptations. You know what I mean? Hmm? All right. All right. YZ, know the 110 and showed improved to my land. Excellent, YZ. Excellent. All right. That's peace. No, you're welcome, Malik. You know, you're welcome. And I just want to, you know, give something I've seen that was positive over the last couple of years, you know. Oh, you see that, right? Are you seeing things that are behind me and stuff? Yeah, you know. All right. It seems like many are anti us. We wore loose, they wore tight, indoor lifestyle. Nah, I don't. Sometimes, Malik, I don't think so because, you know, even as I grew older, I got tired of wearing more baggy clothes. I felt, you know, it didn't look adult enough. You know what I'm saying? And I'm a shorter man, so if I wear baggy clothes and stuff like that, it make me look real. It actually makes me look shorter. You know what I'm saying? It doesn't make me look adult enough. You know what I'm saying? So I'm glad. And I work out a lot though. I'm trying to if it looks good, or if I think it looks good, I like to use my body as part of my wardrobe. You know what I mean? Oh yeah, fitted shirts and fitted pants, they're not for everybody, you know what I'm saying? But let's say like you wear a suit now though, you want to go have it fitted. You want to have your things fitted, you know what I mean? And everything could be fitted though. It doesn't mean that even a bigger man though can have a good fit with his clothes, you know what I mean? Or to have a good fit with his clothes, you know? And of course, certain clubs, lounges, spots are dedicated to let loose dancing. But that's not what I'm talking about. You know what I'm saying? That ain't really the goal. You know what I'm saying? Right? Who's really going to a club now and say I want to dance though? You know what I'm saying? Like real dancers and things like that. They're not. You know what I'm saying? They're not doing that. No. But I was gonna say one thing. That's great, Roger, that you're in taking that class. A very heavy, interesting resume. So definitely do the knowledge of professor. Don't try to teach him stuff. Definitely do the knowledge because I think you'll get a lot out of that. You know what I'm saying? But listen, let's go through the 1 to 10. And if there's anybody that's going through the 1 to 10 and you're having problems with it, and you're like, the major problem really 1 to 10 though is that you have to go up there and quote, and it's not a hard quote. It's really not. But you're worried about proving the first degree. You know what I'm saying? And as far as who we are, we're called three different things, right? We go through the knowledge degree, right? We're called three different things in that degree. We're called original man, right? Asiatic, pardon the speed of my thing. Asiatic black man, and we're called God. Everything else is a role. Okay, let me go through it. Who's the original man? The original man is so original man, right? We can negate this. It said twice. We can negate original man is Asiatic black man, right? But then it says the maker, the owner. Those are roles. Okay, those are roles because no one is a maker. You don't know he's a maker unless you see him make. You don't know he's an owner unless he's owning. The cream of the planet Earth, though, that is abstract. So nobody's walking around saying, "Hey, I'm cream, man. I'm cream." Like, although I used to know some guys named Cream and shit, But and then father of civilization is a role as well, right? You have to do something to be the father. So cream is the one that's in the middle, but because it's so abstract, I mean, that's really not identifiable. Okay, unless you want to be gross and get slapped by a potential ortho, be saying like, "I'm not cream for you," like you're not going there. Like you're not saying, "Hey, I'm the cream for you," right? That's not that would be terrible, terrible, terrible 5% game. You know what I mean? Has anybody ever said that though? I think I made that up. Like I see you with those 3/4. You know what I mean? And I think that I'm not cream for you. You can't. It doesn't work. You can't say. You can say I'm the original man for you. I'm the Asiatic black man for you. I'm the God for you. Like you can't use it like the way you use the other terms, even though technically it could be a noun like original man, Asiatic black man, and God. So I just performed it for you. It's an enormous fail. yeah. I'm not cream for you though, and you the sugar. Like, oh my goodness, let's roll in our diabetes together. Like I don't know how it works, but oh my goodness, it'd be a real fail. You know what I mean? Listen, don't be saying this to no potential Earth though, and then be going, "Yo, that's what Sunez taught me. My enlightener, he taught me." He'd go up and tell the one if she got some of the knowledge and stuff, and she's single, you could tell her, "I'm that cream." No, don't. Yeah, don't be doing that though. But if you try it out though, let me know how it works though. Let me know how it works. But in that degree, right? in that degree, right? The real difficulty, though, is that you have to go up there in front of your enlightener and you have to build and say that you're the true and living God. And the thing is that we don't really have good definitions of true and living God, right? We say supreme being, though, supreme being, and we keep it social. And I notice, like, when I do the criteria lesson and homework assignment, you all answer by criteria. A man that is upright all the time and this and that, you know what I mean? Then you know, that's, you know, I see God. Yeah, you know, the creme de la creme. Yeah, those are phrases, though. Those are phrases, though. You know what I'm saying? But here's an interesting thing, I see God. I'm glad you brought that up, right? You see how he just explained it, creme de la creme, which means top of the tier, or then we could use a better word, supreme. There's a problem with that because Elijah Muhammad never talks with European Caucasian phrases. You see what I'm saying? He doesn't use that jargon or that vernacular. So if you define it that way, you have added a Europeanized way of thinking to a way of writing that he didn't speak like. There's nowhere where Elijah's ever spoken that way. There's nowhere where he uses euphemisms, sayings, refrains that are American or American embraced by any measure. Do you understand what I'm saying? So basically, that wouldn't be the answer because now you're just assuming, right? Now we cream of the planet Earth, though, right? We know cream rises to the top. It's metaphor. It's abstract. You know what I'm saying, right? But you can't state it like that's exactly what he was saying. Like he was saying the top, the order. You know, it's still an assumption. You know what I mean? So be careful with that. You know, it's really an abstraction. The metaphor of the cream and the sperm, the life-giving sperm, that probably is more useful to you as a builder. You know what I mean? And definitely not, as a pickup line. But listen, we learned that with a God means supreme being, right? So how do you show and prove that you are the true and living God? Well, you have to realize that you have what? Finite reality. And you are now realizing that you are expressed infinitely through what? Mind. So you are a combination of a supreme mind, a supreme infinite mind in a finite body. And see, we see that as a limitation, right? Right? So infinite, right? And my brother Infinite Mind is not in here supposedly, but an infinite mind in a finite body. Instead of looking at as a negative, it's actually a positive because now every single realm of reality you exist in. And the true and living God is a master and owner of all the realities, time, space, right? In all levels. By being supreme in the mind and infinite in the mind, your thoughts create everything. So that means that your thoughts have no limitation of space and they have no limitation of time because let's say, for example, the things that you write, the things that you share, the things that you create will extend themselves throughout time. And the things that you learn prove that ideas have extended into time, right? Because they went from that time to your time, right? Like the Father, right? The fact that the body is limited actually shows that there is a mastery of all the realms of time. You see? The mystery God that is out there in the netherworld, right? Outside of Earth, up there in the space outside of Earth, he doesn't have mastery of this finite realm. There are realms that he doesn't exist in. And the reason is because I'm teaching you and showing you that we are the creators in our own creation. We have created all this and we create within the creation. So it is us that have the reality of understanding it endlessly. That means through an infinite mind, but also experience it through a finite body. So we have the ultimate experience within this creation that we self-created. So we have created it perfectly. We have created it with the perfect ebb and flow to deal with time. Why? Because we actually are in every single realm of time that we speak of. That which is finite, all encompassing, and that which is finite and will end. You see? So when they say, how are you the best knower? We are the best knower for being in all of this, all the ranges of time. See? That's some stuff to get your head wrapped around. And then now you want to see how are you supreme biochemically, right? And then you want to do studies on melanin and how that matches up to what? The black, brown, and yellow seed, right? From melanosomes to carotenoids in all of said original peoples, right? Then you want to see the language of the universe is mathematics and how that is expressed most high and supreme mathematics, but also expressed in all the sciences that are expounding on you, whether it be biochemistry, right? Whether it be the science of the brain, neurology, okay? Right? And the infinite aspect of the mind, where, for example, Starmel has written some great essays in book, I think his second Righteous Way book, and also the third one, about the mind and the infinity of the mind. You know what I mean? And how, and it goes through the detail of how we're just not I'm trying to explain this the right way. How we're not just using a small portion of our brain. Because if you say you use 5% of your brain, then that means that all of this is quantifiable. You can measure all of this, which means that this is finite. And the capacity of the mind is not finite. If this mind is challenged, it has infinite possibilities. See, these are the things that you're going to be looking to in order to prove that you are the true and living God. And the clues are there, right? Because if you made your home, maker of your home, the universe, then you would make that home to encompass you. So it would be larger than you, thus the entire planet. You would make it in sync with you, the way the sun is in sync with the earth, right? And that's why we say we have the nature of the sun, and the black woman has the nature of the earth, right? These are the things that you will be speaking about, and that you have the what responsibility. See? Well, what examples would you give a youth to explain that about the mind? I said a whole bunch of things about the mind, right? It's not so much explaining it to the youth, it's challenging them to try it. You see, that's what I found to be more useful. Instead of telling youth why their mind is infinite, instead challenge them to see how much that they can actually learn about what they love to learn. You see, did you ever find out about what a youth likes and then try to quiz them and see that they have boundless knowledge about something? See? And this is how you deal with the youth. You know what I mean? When we talk about getting on their own level and try to really show them like how much that they have absorbed already by their own reality. Right? Right? One way of doing that, though, is in the answers of the actual degree, right? One of the answers says father of civilization. So what you're going to do now, though, is have real examples. The father of civilization is the most concrete and one of the most able ways to show the supremacy of the black mind. The mind that has guided civilization throughout all these years in all realities of original people, black, brown, yellow. Okay. And that's why having a real foundation, though, in the histories of the original people um, throughout all the years is going to give you those details. Some people's alphabet has C, 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 E, E. That's why. Um, I don't care for people misspelling it wrong, though, at all. I don't really like it. You know what I'm saying? But when we're talking amongst the gods, though, I do get that. You know what I mean? Like you just saw above, smells good. You did it that way. You know. Absolutely. Like we have to find that. You know, like youth aren't really challenged. Like I remember the first things that I got into was sports, and me and my brother, my twin brother, we absorbed sports. You know what I mean? Like we're studying everything, memorizing stats, everything like that. And then my older would be like, you know, you can't tell me that you can't learn anything that you want to learn because look at the amount of all these statistics and numbers and everything that you done memorized. Though, I mean, we was good, man. We was giving you batting averages down the line. You know, we was familiar. We was learning statistics, how they computed them, all that kind of stuff. Memorizing whole rosters, you know, of teams, especially the teams that we rooted for, like the Mets. So it's in the activities that you get the youth to do that'll show them their boundless knowledge. You know what I mean? Will show them their ability to show. If you want to show them that they're a creator, talk to them about the things that they like, but then try to tell them though how they would do stuff and what is it that they like and what they don't and how they would do things differently. This happens easily. You watch a television show with them and you know you go through it, like what would you do with your character, the character you like, did you like the way they did that, you know, things like that. So it definitely extends. Maybe LT station, that's a possibility. The spelling, I think the spelling is also to show that you know these are military FOI activities, so it had to deal with a regiment, you know, it was very, you know. But remember, some people's alphabet does have the word C spelled with a C, you know. Um, so that's why some people do that. You know what I mean? All right. Indeed, Malik. It's about the open dialogue because everybody's different. I don't want to give one blueprint to youth because that's never been the case. You know what I mean? I have two daughters though, and they're totally different. You know, and yet both of them have been able to reach those different methods. You know what I mean? And what I learned though is that those methods shift. You know what I mean? One day it'll work, and one day something else will work. You know what I mean? Right? Because the truth is, for us, that they respect, showing them and demanding that they perform. You know what I mean? That's just it. Um. All right. Are we arguing about the sea and stuff? You know, are we arguing about that? I mean, it's really like kind of moot here. Like I'm, you know, exactly serious to their understanding. You know what I mean? Indeed, indeed, challenger and courage. Because most youths aren't talked about like they will have thoughts that are important or that you let them know, you show them that like the way you're building with them, they have the potential to reach a point where their ideas will be able to help and change the world, not just for everyone else, but for themselves. That how empowering is it they finally figure out like, yo, I can actually think of things that help me build the world that I would like to live in. It's very empowering, you know. All right, so I'm gonna leave the knowledge degree there though. I don't want to give everybody answers and shit. That's not what I'm doing. I'm just trying to show you how to look at things. Okay. Then I'm gonna give you a broader framework of the entire set of the 1 to 10. All right. Now, who's the colored man? No, right? If you're not answering no, the concepts of color and how color is seen by the physical eye, and don't study that and do the research, then you're making a mistake. Okay. It is a grammar point. Colored is past tense, so something has been done. But also, how is color seen? How is color seen? Color is seen through a reflection of light. So the light that reflects the most is the most colored color. What light reflects the most? Okay. What absorbs the most light? Right. So reflects none. So these are things to answer. Um, Yaku's grafted devils of the planet is pretty basic. This degree, and compared to the knowledge degree, it is so simple. You know what I mean? Because when you're learning a 1 to 10 and you don't have anything else, grafted doesn't have the significance. You know what I mean? It doesn't have the significance that you would think, but it's basically someone that has been taken and made to become something else. You understand it? It is a human being that has been made to be something else and that it normally wouldn't be. See? This is why we teach all the human families, and that is why the skunk was taken out of the degree. Because to graft something means that you take something that was going to be something and you make it be something else. You see? That seed could have been with the potentials to naturally and nearly 99% of the time naturally engage the world righteously because it would be in tune with nature and so would learn in such a way if given the right environment. But see, the thing is that the grafted means that you have so damaged the seed that even in the proper conditions, it still would not perform under even the most civil of conditions, even among the most fruitful of conditions. It would not be able to perform. And then what would happen if that was the case? There would be if it wasn't able to perform even in the most right of conditions, it would be so weakened through this grafting, then what would happen? Right? Then it would try to ensure its survival by any means necessary. And one of the consistent way would be what? To bring things down to its own level. You bring it down to its own level. Not everyone is on the level of survival. See, this is where we're at. Okay, so these are things you think about the definitions. These are the two most important words there. Okay, and I've lost my mouse here. Right, so I have. Okay, those are the words that are the most important there. Okay. Yeah, my mouse is bugging right now. All right. Now we have the third and the fourth, and I'm just gonna lump them together. Okay, we'll just lump them together because let me copy down what I have written in my notes. Okay, because these are three things that you do. These three things you'll be doing especially with the 1 to 10. I just explained why those are the two most important. Are you on take delay? Smells good. They're the most important because those are the words that give it what grafted is what happened to make it such, and what was made is defined by that word colored. So that's why those are the two most important words. Okay, and they are usually the when you're learning it though, and that's all you have, and you don't have anything else, right? You're just on that set. You haven't that individual hasn't progressed. Those words are the words that they don't know. They only know those in the common way of using it in society, if they know them at all, like the word grafted, because most people don't use that word. And if they do use the word grafted, they would just know it in the plant world, which is a little bit different. Okay, so it's different. It's not the same. Okay, LT station. I don't know what you're talking about. Okay, so am I answering questions that aren't to me, or is there internal dialogue here? Because you're confusing me. I'm going to continue on. LT goods. Explain this to me. I don't know if I'm answering things wastefully. All right, but with the 1 to 10, in the 1 to 10, you are in the one. I'm just trying to write this down for you in the chat. You are grouping themes, proportion figures, and working, testing, symbolism, possibilities. Okay. Now, with all of 120, the last is always done. Definitely, the last, the last is always done. Okay, and why do I point that out? Because uh, listen, the degree is C. If you're talking to people that don't know, don't spell it with a C. If you're among the five, you can spell it with a C. We know what you're talking about. It's all good. If you want to be stylistic, all right. If we're talking to the build powers, if we're talking to people that don't know, spell it correctly. That's it. It's really becoming something that is a waste of time. All right. Now, back to what I'm saying here. With all the 120, the last symbolism possibilities is always done. The reason I say it's symbolism possibilities is that some people come up with symbolism that is sensible, but we take it as like proof of the degree. Don't do that. Don't assume that the symbolism that you draw up though is correct. That these are clues to research, not answers. You haven't figured out any answers. Symbolism just takes you on a course to see patterns in history and in research. So you would do well to then use that as guides to answers, not proof of anything. Okay. So let me write that down here. Symbolism noted or proposed gives gives you a better way of questioning routes to take in research. Okay. right? Because some people make a symbolism and say, "Yo, this is this degree, and so that means this, so that means that it goes together with that." Nah, you didn't prove anything. You just came up with good symbolism. Now it has to be useful for something. Now it could be useful. It doesn't mean it's an answer, but it still could be useful because it may have led you to make a way of cueing the knowledge for you. That's why the symbolism in building with the degrees and everything can become really well, because now you have a way of remembering understanding that you have, remembering insights, and how to use things. So that's why you want to do it like that. All right. But just because you come up with some symbolism doesn't mean that you prove the degree. That is an oft made error by many people. Okay. All right. Now, okay. In the 1 and 10 specifically, the grouping themes. Okay, and I'll go into it now. That you had the first and second, right? The first and second degree. You have what? The people, right? People identity, right? People identities, right? Then you have more grouping. You have the third and fourth, right? Is population figures. Okay. Then the fifth and the sixth and the seventh, right? And the eighth. I'm trying to see, because the fifth is more of a technical fact, but it does prelude. So I put the fifth in there. The fifth to the eighth, right, are really about land, right? About the land, right? So then we have the fifth to the eighth, right? About the land. It sounds simple, like, yeah, it does, Sunez, right? Well, okay, good question, Sirius, and I don't mind you bringing, right? Um, yes, perfect word that you use there for that, right? The topography, right? And it's a very good word. Good. You know why? Because topography isn't just what is, but also what is artificially proposed, right? So you're getting a lay of the land. So you're getting the people's identities, the population figures, and the lay of the land, right? There's a reason for this, though. And it's not because every single answer in the universe is to be decoded from these numbers here. It is not a spell book. And that's what I said. I always say, don't use mathematics as a spell book, right? You say the day's math and it's not a spell. You could, where people really start to fall victim to it is when they start to apply supreme mathematics into the 120, which is supposed to, but it's really to see connections and direct your research of proving. Okay. So word 60, that is not a bad thing. You see, that is good logic. Okay. Logic is the major science used here, right? Is the major science when we're dealing with 120, right? And willingly, if we're good at this logic, it'll lead us to the other sciences for more and more proof and insights, which we could be trying so hard to prove 120 that we forget that the point of all this, though, is to draw us to truths. So in the end, though, it doesn't matter what 120 says. It matters that it leads us to the truths that have been symbolized, that have been expressed, that have been shown inside 120. You see? So when we say useful, though, this is correct. Like, we're talking about land. That is one of the most logical first things to say, right? But then look, then the 9th and 10th, right? We could say are religions, but really also spiritual mentalities. And the reason I say it like that is because they're choices about what people think. Because technically, the way we deal with the knowledge, right? We're not dealing with religion. So we wouldn't call the 9th degree the subject of religion. We would call the 10th that. So if we group the ninth and 10th, we would say what? The spiritual mentalities, right? And this type of grouping, when you do stuff like when you do this with the 120 and you practice grouping, right? And grouping themes together, it makes you understand what you might be looking at and how you might be researching, especially when you get to 1 to 14 and when you get into 1 to 40, which are big bulks and are hard to study and memorize, but easier if you can bulk things into ideas and concepts, right? When you can do that, then you can see one is based on the truth of no religion, Islam, and then the truth of what? Excuse me, the religion of what? The inner and outer. That's my understanding, but you see where I'm going with that, right? Right? Religions of the inner and outer. And in that, it doesn't matter if you don't have to mention every single religion that has ever lived. You have it in there. Okay? This is why the grouping is very crucial. You know what I mean? Okay. Now why? Why, if you look at 120, the 1 to 10 is the most rigid grouping and the most blatant grouping themes out of all the sets, right? The reason so is because it's student enrollment. It's to show you that this is the enrollment. Essentially, you're going to be given identities. You're going to be given different populations, different things that happen in different populations. One of the hardest things you're going to have to learn, though, is what happened to a specific population, the population that was grafted, right? So that's why you're being prepped for that. And then you're learning about specific places of land because you're going to learn about what? Exiles from where? Exiles from particular places, right? The Caucasus Mountains, right? And the best part, right? The best part, worst part, poor part, you'll be analyzing later. And now you're analyzing what is very abstract and can only be answered by your own research is useful because Elijah, unless I've never read in the book or in speeches where he specifically outlines though what exactly is meant by useful land. Like saying I'm saying or Fard's meant useful land to be, no. So it's your analysis. So instead of trying to find like an actual answer, then what you do is you also do proportions. So what is the proportion of what? 6 million out of 29. You know what I mean? What is the proportion of 23 million out of 29 million? Right? And then you may not have a complete answer. Other people may have an answer. But then now what you're trying to do is that you're trying to see how does this link up to an insight that will stay in my head? Because now the insights that you draw are going to be so crucial that how will you remember them? How will you be able to see them in some type of living, functional way? Where the whole point of this is that understanding that you have is being able to be queued up. See, you think you're supposed to queue up the degree, but when you're really living this out, the day's math and degrees are queuing up your understandings of the degree. And you're living out the understandings because they stay in your head. You know what I mean? You're on precipitation, right? Peace, LT. LT, I don't care for it. I don't care for misspelling that because it doesn't, to me, it doesn't help as much. So for those of you who spell it CEE, really think about who does it help to have it spelled that way? It doesn't really add on too much. Like it doesn't give much insight. You know what I'm saying? Does it help that they need to be emphasized that to see something is the letter C? You see what I'm saying? And you'd always remember it though as the third letter. So, like sometimes some of the again, these are all cues, and I can't remember who had it like that. You know what I'm saying? Um, I've never had it like that. You know what I'm saying? And I'll keep it real with you. It is one thing that if I had it like that, I would have taken it off and told you I took it off, because I don't see the relevance of spelling the word wrong. You know what I mean? But when we're talking amongst the gods, though, and they want to emphasize something, I understand it. Okay. Even if you use the word grammatically incorrect, like a lot of words used, like do the knowledge and stuff, and you say, yo, what's your C on it? You still could write it CEE, SEE, you know, right? Or you could just use the letter C, right? What's your C on it, you know? Or if you were writing, what's your, and you write 3 on it, right? Because this, the word CEE would only really work well with those who already have the knowledge. So in essence, though, when I try to just write something to somebody who has knowledge, like a student, I'll usually just write 3 instead of writing C. What's your C on it? I'll just write 3. You know what I mean? So, you know what I mean? You know, so unless you find some new way that it cues you into a truth, also look at its viability in the outside world. Like, is it really helpful? You know what I'm saying? Right? And it's definitely not. Yeah, and I know you get it, Goods. I know you get it. You know? That's Peace LT. That's Peace LT. Yeah, I figured we might be on a little delay here, you know, but all good. But right now, officially, I know that I am at 9:53. This class will end at 10. So unless you have any questions about anything, I just wanted to give you ideas and the major concepts about how to pack it in, how to research. I don't want to do your research for you. I want you to do the research and propose things to me. But the grouping, being able to group things, solve for proportions, right? And the way things balance with each other, and always be looking for symbolism. You group this with my justice build. Let me just open that and just read it really quick, so that way it has complete finality here. Where is my justice build plus lesson, where I tell you the different things to check when you go through degrees: vocabulary, history, science, abstract versus concrete words, titles offered, today's reality. Like, for example, the population figures would be an example. Common ancestry. In other words, like certain things that are also seen in ancient texts. Other references in other degrees, like things you see repeated, right? Or things that go together in the degrees. How it relates to supreme math, right? Each degree. And then, of course, though, how your understanding is developing, like the understanding you had, and then what you're trying to get at to right now. And I have this plus. So if you want this plus lesson that goes through that, you ask me, email me, and I will email it to you. Okay. And if you don't understand it after reading it, I gladly go through it in the class. You know what I'm saying? It's not a problem. You know what I mean? All right. Okay. So that's peace. All right. Again, if anybody has any questions, email me. Quick plug for the forums. 5% Media is a forum for all of you to read and also ask questions, but also participate in. I have a couple of articles that I'm going to throw out there. Parborn, I'm going to do the analysis of what you had. Saeem, I'm going to do the analysis of what you sent me. See if I get it out and get it out there as soon as possible. My next column will be as soon as possible. And then also I have the cast faction. So even if you write about, if you follow podcasts or not, we're covering podcasts, but also any and all subjects that go with the podcast. So you have a free form to write about whatever you would like to write about. And if you don't really know what podcast it would go with, or you're not, or anything like that, I still could fit it in there by figuring out what podcast it could relate to, or what type of podcast cover that. So you basically have free reign. If there are podcasts that you like and you would like to write about them, and anything like that, then this is the magazine for you. If there are if you would like to do a podcast, this is definitely the magazine for you to be buying. Okay. Do you interview or review music artists with extravagant writing skills? You mean if the artist had? I don't think I want to review artists that don't have extravagant writing skills, right? I don't know what you mean by that question. Oh, thank you, Quatis. Yeah, thank you. That, yeah. You mean the drawn up article, Quatis? The last one with J Live on it? Yeah. And all the columns are written off the head. Like, I usually end up writing it Saturday. So even if I have my daughters with me, if I have my little one with me, she'll be playing with her cousin, and then that'll be my moment to just like see what could come out of my head, you know, like. Right? But all right, well, yeah. Yeah, I do interviews all the time, so yeah, let me know. You know what I mean? So definitely. Let me know anything you would like to read in there, anything that you propose, any ideas, you know, like email me. You know what I mean? Okay. The first process is to email me. Okay. You just sent that Quatis though. If anything, it really helps me if you sent me something and I didn't notice it. If you just like forward it back to me, you know, I know that's crazy, but you know, throw it back in my face. You know what I mean? 793rd. We're still on the word C. C is C in the alphabet. That's what it is. Some people have it like that too. Some people have C or C. Okay, I don't. I don't have it like that. I don't have C because it's not a real word. Like, no, it's a little corny. Right? All right. But with that note, it is 10 o'clock. If you're still confused about certain things, email me. Okay, and the specific brother, if you were on here listening to all that and you don't like what you heard, definitely get at me. Okay. All right. So with that said, peace.